What is up, guys? Welcome to my first official NFL playoff predictions. Basically, I'm just gonna share my picks for this playoffs and my thoughts on each game. So here we go. First up, we got the AFC wildcard games. In our first game, we have the Bills and the Colts. Now, the Bills, I can't even pick against them. They have been red hot. They completely whooped the Dolphins, who had a really good defense. They scored 56 on them. And they have just been so hot recently. Josh Allen is looking like he could have been the MVP if he played like he did all year. And then on the other side of the ball, we have the Colts, who have been significantly good. Although they lost 5 games and they won 11. They've been consistent enough that I'd be willing to consider them to contend in this game, but I don't think they're going to win. They might make it close, but I have the Bills 31-26. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns, and I was considering picking the Steelers in this one, only because of how well they played against the Browns with their backups and earlier in the season, and because of the Browns' recent struggles. They have not looked like a complete team at all. But I think that they're going to wake up, especially because Juju, who loves to make the other teams mad apparently, released a statement today completely ripping the Browns, saying they'll always be the Browns. Both teams have had a pretty good year, but the Steelers, who started 11-0, have gone 1-4 since. Could have gone 0-5 if they didn't completely if the Colts didn't completely lay an egg against them. And just based on the recent play of these teams, I still have the Browns despite their recent struggles, and the Steelers' recent struggles. Even with the Steelers' success against the Browns, I just have to pick the Browns in this game. Alright, next up we have the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens. Both teams finishing 11-5, but the Ravens on a huge surge to finish the year. They started off the year kind of rocky. They crushed the Browns, crushed the Texans, then they kind of got whooped by the Chiefs. And then after that, they were kind of mediocre, almost blowing a huge lead to the Eagles, losing to the Steelers at the last second. They did beat the Colts, and then they kind of hit a rocky bottom where they lost to the Patriots, blew a game to the Titans earlier in the year that they could have easily won. And then they kind of seem to have a resurgence against the Steelers. Even though they lost that game, their backups kept them in it the whole game. The defense was decent. And then since then, they've just been dominant. They won 5 straight, not even really letting the teams come close, except the Browns, who arguably they played in the game of the year in a 47-42 victory on Monday night. And the Titans on the other side of the ball, they have not been very good as of late. They started off the year really good, winning a lot of games, and then they lost to the Steelers and then the Bengals, which is a real head-scratcher. And then after they got blown out by the Colts, they beat the Ravens, blew out the Colts, and then they lost to the Browns. So they've been super inconsistent. And then they blew out the Jaguars and the Lions. And then they got completely whooped by the Packers on Sunday Night Football. And then they barely squeaked out a win against the Texans. Now they're playing the Ravens. I actually think that this will be a bounce-back game for the Titans. Lamar needs to prove that he can win in the playoffs. He hasn't done that yet. And I just think that the Titans have the better offense. Even though their defense has looked atrocious, they're still going to win a shootout 38-35. Now we got the NFC wild card. And this is where the crazy stuff happens. All the wild upsets. I actually have... Well, this is an interesting matchup. Earlier this year, these two teams played, and the Saints barely squeaked out a win in overtime. And I mean barely. The Saints will probably be playing without Alvin Kamara, possibly their biggest playmaker on offense. I don't know if Drew Brees has the strength to be able to beat the Bears' defense the entire game, unless their running backs do or their backup running backs do a lot in this game. I just don't see them being able to pull out a win. I think the Bears will be kind of motivated, but I think that the Bears get this upset, 28-24, and move on to the next round. Now we have the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. Here's the tricky thing with this game. I do not trust Jared Goff at all. I actually think that if they start John Wolford, which they might, they actually will have a better chance in this game. Their Rams defense has looked so good as of late. They held the Seahawks down for most of the game last time these two teams played. I've got to go with Rams 19-20 in a low-scoring game that maybe involves a huge defensive turnover to change the outcome of the game. And I think the Rams will do just enough to win. Now, this game is probably going to shock a lot of people. Washington football team versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, you guys are probably thinking I'm insane picking Washington in this game, but I have some actual reasoning behind this. The Buccaneers have looked really, really good lately, but that said, they've played terrible defenses, and I mean terrible. They score a lot of points against really, really weak defenses. Like, the Panthers, they scored 31. The Broncos are okay, I guess. They scored 28. The Chargers, not a good defense that really. They scored 38. Packers, don't really have a good defense. 38. Buccaneers versus Raiders in week 6, I think. They scored 45. The Raiders' defense is terrible. Panthers, they scored 46. I see you guys are seeing a pattern. 47 on the Lions, 44 on the Falcons. None of those are good defenses. Against really good defensive teams like the Rams, they scored 24. But I guess that's reasonable. Against the Saints defense, which is decent, they didn't even score more than 3. They kind of struggled against the Giants with 25. They really did not do well against the Bears, losing that game, only scoring 19. And against really good defenses, they haven't done much. Washington has an amazing defense. Brady is not a mobile QB, so he'll probably be in the pocket most of the game. Washington has an elite pass rush and a great pass defense. So unless the Tampa Bay running backs have a really good game, I see Washington barely squeaking out a win in this game. And I say that their offense is going to kick in, and I'm taking them 24-23. Now we have an AFC divisional round based on the teams I have winning in the first round. Kansas City Chiefs and Cleveland Browns. This is interesting. I think that the Browns will do enough to stay in this game for most of it, but you're not beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I'm sorry. I've got to go with the Chiefs by 6. Browns keep it close for most of the game, but they're just going to pull away late in an offensive shootout. Now we got the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans. This matchup is interesting because in an early week of the season on Tuesday night, the Titans absolutely walloped the Bills 42-16 in Tennessee. Although it was a closer game at halftime, but it really was not really that close. Titans destroyed them. Here's the thing. The Titans have slightly regressed since then, and the Bills have been at the highest point they've been at all season. I do not see them losing this game, especially with the way the Titans' defense has looked after late, allowing 38 to the Texans, 40 to the Packers. Good offenses, but still, your defense can't allow that many. The Bills' offenses look so good, I've got them 48-31. This game's not even going to be close, maybe for a quarter. NFC divisional round. Packers, Bears. The Bears, they're a good matchup for the Saints, but I just do not see them winning this game. It's not even going to be close. The Bears' offense is going to sputter. I just do not see them winning this game. Washington and the Rams. Okay, this is going to shock you guys, but I'm picking Washington again. By then, Jared Goff is definitely going to be back. Washington is probably going to make it a nightmare for him. The Rams' offense has not been good as of late. I see the Rams beating Seattle based on the way Seattle's been recently, but Washington is a bad matchup for the Rams. I've got Washington 23-16. I'll probably be wrong. They probably will lose in the first round, but I've got my reasons. I'm picking them. AFC Championship game. Bills, Chiefs. This is a game where I gotta go with the Bills. Even though it's an Arrowhead, even though they supposedly can't get defeated on that turf. Josh Allen has looked so good recently. The Bills' defense has stepped up a lot. It's going to be a shootout, but the Bills are going to win this game 30-34 and move on to the Super Bowl. NFC Championship game, Packers, Washington. The matchup is going to be very, very... I just don't see Washington winning this game. Their offense is not that amazing. The Packers have the best offense in the league, I'm pretty sure. So, I think that they'll put up enough to win 28-17. I think there will be a big mistake by Washington that maybe changes the momentum a bit. I've got Washington hanging around for maybe the first half, but the Packers pull away in the end. Super Bowl pick. Packers, Bills. Both teams have looked really good recently. Both teams have quarterbacks playing like MVPs. Rodgers, Allen, this should be an amazing game. The Packers have a slightly worse defense than the Bills, which has looked decent lately. But I think that the Packers, having not won a Super Bowl in quite a bit, even though the Bills haven't won in years, I still have the Packers pulling out a 37-34 win. Maybe this game even goes to overtime. Who knows? It's just going to be a really wild playoffs. I've got a lot of upsets. So, congratulations, Packers. I've got you projected as my Super Bowl 55 champions. I might be wrong. Who knows? But this is just what I've got. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy the picks. Comment below if you want to see me do this every week next season. Or, yeah, that's about it. Peace out.